Long time no see. Since Trump has taken office, we've had 4 major aviation disasters, 2 of which were with commercial airliners. The incident at Reagan National was the first crash of a US airliner in almost 16 years. And it came just days after Elon Musk pushed out the director of the FAA, Trump froze hiring a replacement, and then disbanded the Aviation Security Advisory Committee. We need to understand, this is not the result of incompetence, even if there may be some of that at play. These are deliberate decisions being made for 2 major reasons, which I'll get into in a second. But let's put these crashes in context. We have had a shortage of air traffic controllers for more than a decade. The Biden administration had actually imposed measures aimed at hiring thousands more of them, but Trump immediately started firing them. When Trump took office, the director of the FAA resigned following years of animosity with Elon Musk, who was angry because the FAA was trying to hold SpaceX accountable for tons of safety violations. This includes a week and a half before the incident at Reagan National, a SpaceX rocket exploded during a test flight, diverting and delaying dozens of planes that literally had to dodge Elon's detonated flying debris. It rained rocket parts down on Turks and Caicos, and this is a common occurrence with SpaceX rockets. When I tell you Elon Musk is filling our atmosphere and Earth with his space debris. 2 days ago, as of me filming this, you could see falling debris in the German sky. Rocket parts were falling on Poland, and today, rocket parts were washing up on the shores of the Bahamas. So he gets rid of this FAA director who's trying to hold him accountable for all the junk he's launching into the atmosphere. Once the FAA director was gone, the administration froze hiring and chose not to nominate a new director, and then sent out an email to over 2 million federal employees urging them to quit and join the private sector. The next day, the first collision happened. At the time of the collision, 1 air traffic controller was doing the work of 2 people, which was not normal for that environment. Air traffic control is an incredibly meticulous and high-stakes job. Watch Breaking Bad. This is not a place to be tightening our belts. To be clear though, this is exactly what you get when you have essential government safety operations run like a business, because the shrewd businessman's perspective would be that a certain number of plane crash deaths are acceptable so long as lawsuit payouts are projected to be less than the cost of properly staffing air traffic control. Though, that is not the only reason that they're doing this, but we'll get back to that. Governments shouldn't be run this way. Governments shouldn't be run like a business. Since these 2 crashes, the Trump administration has continued to fire hundreds of FAA employees. And these are skilled jobs. This is not something you can easily replace. That's why we've had a shortage of air traffic controllers. But I cannot stress enough, this is not just incompetence. This is a deliberate decision. The reasoning behind nearly every federal department being gutted is twofold. The first is the Republican motive, and the second is the Elon motive. Because this has been the MO of the Republican Party for decades. They deliberately underfund and understaff government institutions so they're ineffective, and then when they're ineffective, they point at it and they say, this is because of wokeness and DEI, and we're going to fix it by privatizing it. Trump was straightforward about this during a press briefing the other day.
We'd love to have them leave. We're trying to remember this. We want them to go into the private sector. It's our dream to have everybody almost working in the private sector, not in the public sector.
He's saying the quiet part out loud. This presidency is a project to extract public money and turn it into private wealth. He is a complete puppet of the billionaires who funded him, and he is funneling your tax money into their pockets so you won't see a penny of the benefits you are entitled to. He is stealing from you. Which brings us to the second reason. The FAA, like many of the other departments being defunded, has a history of holding Elon Musk accountable, which means they have to go. The FAA was trying to fine SpaceX $600,000 for safety violations, so Elon pushes the director out and guts the department. He won't pay $600,000. Instead, he's going to make sure your planes crash. USAID was investigating Starlink because the satellites USAID helped them fund to aid Ukrainians were actually also helping Russian operatives.
USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
The closure came after Elon Musk moved to exert control over the foreign aid organization.
The Department of Labor had over a dozen ongoing investigations into Tesla and SpaceX because of unfair labor practices and safety violations, so Trump has their inspector general fired and Elon moves to slash their funding. The USDA was investigating Neuralink for safety and animal welfare violations because the brain chips kept killing monkeys. Guess what Elon did? He had the inspector general fired. They also fired a bunch of people who were working on a government response to bird flu, a disease that is currently wreaking havoc on our country, and then had to scramble to rehire them because, again, it is possible to be both stupid and evil. Department of Defense raises concerns about Elon's communication with foreign leaders. Their Inspector General is fired. The EPA, Department of the Interior, SEC, Office of Government Ethics, the list goes on. This is a presidency being run almost entirely in service of the richest man in the world. We couldn't get a more perfect visual than a press conference that featured Trump sitting, craning his neck to look at a standing Elon Musk who talked uninterrupted for several minutes about his own objectives in changing the government.
We have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative.
It's the audacity of it all. Like, yeah, I couldn't agree more, dude. Is this what you voted for, Trump supporters? An unelected kleptocrat with no oversight going in and shutting down parts of the government he doesn't like? Particularly ones that are trying to hold his companies accountable for ethical and safety concerns? Corruption is an understatement. We need to call this what it is. It's a coup. And I don't mean that in an inflammatory, rhetorical way. It is a coup. It is the open, unapologetic transfer of public power into the hands of a single billionaire and the complete gutting of any government agents or processes that would stand in their way. I harken back to what I said in 2022. This country was built on a set of gentlemen's agreements and the assumption that regardless of political differences, everyone in the government would want to preserve democracy. But that's just not the case. You get enough people in DC who are anti-democracy, and we do not have the fail-safes for that. The system will just fall apart. This administration is not running the government more efficiently. They are dismantling it piece by piece and handing the wreckage to Elon Musk. And to that point, I've been hearing some rhetoric of people trying to sort of like cleave Elon from the Republican Party. We can't be doing that, all right? A win for Elon is a win for the Republicans. These two are in cahoots, and if we allow them to make him a fall guy, then if they can get rid of him, then they're completely absolved of responsibility, and that is not the case. And the consequences are real. Planes are crashing, workers are being exploited, public safety is being sold off to the highest bidder. We are watching Trump and his billionaire allies rewrite the rules to serve themselves at the expense of ordinary people's lives. This is not about efficiency, it's not about job creation, it's not about helping the American people. It's about power. Hoarding it, centralizing it, and using it to strip away every last safeguard that protects the public from the unchecked greed of the ultra-wealthy. Their whole ideology, their whole system of governance requires there to be a constant state of crisis, and that's what they're doing. They're creating crises. They're allowing us to be in a state of constant disarray.
The opposition party is the media. And the media can only, because they're dumb and they're lazy, they can only focus on one thing at a time. I said, all we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with 3 things. They'll bite on one and we'll get all of our stuff done. Bang, bang, bang. These guys will never be able to recover.
And if we don't fight back, if we don't name this for what it is and stop treating it as anything other than the organized looting of our government, then we are handing them the keys to everything. Because they're not gonna stop. Every second we're not fighting against them emboldens them. And if history tells us anything, it's that the longer we wait to do something, the harder it's gonna be to take our democracy back.